today we're going to be fixing 6-inch skirting. This is the room we're going to be fixing our skirting in. This is what we're aiming at. Now this corner is square and plumb. So basically that is the simplest type of corner, if you like. And then our internal one is there, and that is scribed over. And this is this corner here may not be plumb and it may not be square, as we're coming off an existing corner. The first thing to do is to check that where we're starting from is 90-degree corners, and that's perfect. Also, it's nice to know if it's plumb. Well, this is newly plastered, so I think it probably is plumb. Put our first piece in, make sure it's down square flush, and then pencil mark up, because that's the point we're looking for. That's where the mitre comes away. There we go. Then we'll put a square on to see if it's square. It's a tiny bit out, but I'm happy with that. Okay, so we've got our back mark. Now we can transfer that back mark to the front by simply marking it across, and then square that, and that gives us the front mark. And let's go to the model block. A bit noisy, a bit clacking, but it does work. You might have to plane it a bit, who knows. Now I'll show you a different way of doing it. I've got a piece of old flooring here, you know, click floor as I'll call it, but anything to do, a bit of timber, and I'm going to cramp that in the workmate. This is if you haven't got a mitre block and you've got tall skirting. I've already marked it up with me 45, and I'm going to cramp that in there like so, put that against that edge, just see the line there, and then I can use that as my outside guide. If you have to plane it a bit, you need a little block plane like so, make sure it's sharp, something in your workmate to work against the edge of, to stop in other words, and then see where I'll keep the plane slightly at an angle so that it's got a slicing action across the end grain. There you go. Okay, so let's try and see what it looks like. Oh, it don't look too bad at all. But now before we fix that, we've got to cut the scribe over that. And this is the way I like to do that. We want the one that's coming in to scribe over it, and this is the way I do it. I'll put one in and just go around with a pencil, so, and I'm going to cut that now. Cramp it. Make the first cut. The long cut with the saw, and this cut with a coping saw. And I always like to slightly undercut. There we go. And that last little tiny bit with chisel, like so. There we go. Now we can go back and fix the first two bits. Now that's an alternative way of cutting the scribe, is by first doing a 45 and then just following the cut line, and that will give you a perfect scribe. Right, now for fixing to the wall, you've got various choices. You've got cut nails, which is very quick, screws and plugs, or masonry nails. There's fors and against for everything. Cut nails, you're knocking it out of the wall. If it's an external wall, that's fine. If it's an internal wall, you don't know what damage you're doing the other side of the wall. Screws and plugs, they take longer. Masonry nails, it depends on what you're going into, the length of the masonry nails you're using, so it's unpredictable. I like screws and plugs. It's predictable. When they're tight, you know it's done. So I'm going to go screws and plugs, but I'll give you a quick demo on the cut nails. I'm going to make up this joint on the corner, because once it's fixed, once the skirting's fixed, if the corner's not up, you're not going to get it up. That sounded a bit rude, didn't it? Didn't mean that at all. Okay, here we go. Bit of glue. Some very nice thin nail. Fold the corner in. Let's give the hammer head a quick rub on sandpaper. Punch them in, head of a nail. There we go. That's just like a bought one. Now then, cut nails. I'm going to go back from the corner so as not to crack the corner away. And if that happens, you've got to cut it off with an axle. That's not going anywhere, is it? And it's quick, but I still prefer screws and plugs. Once you've made a mark on the nail, they snap off quite easily at that point. And then all you just use, drive the head in below the surface, and then we can fill it. And here's a little cheat on the corners. Once you've done that, just tap them in. There you go. Screw and plug. If you can get a masonry drill that drill through the timber as well, it's a lot quicker. I sharpen the masonry drills myself using a green grit. Well, and I'll put a good edge on them, and as you can see, that works really well. we go. That is going nowhere. And a bit of filler wherever you think it might be needed. Especially with the cut nails, you can always get what we used to call in the old days half a crane, where you hammer that last little bit in, a little bit out the corners, and then when you sand it, that will look 100%. You can stick skirting on using silicone, but the surface you're sticking to really has to be a seamed surface. There we go. Now we've already cut this scribe over, so we're ready to go. And I'll mark that in red to remind me that I've got a cable across. I know it's pretty obvious there's a cable above it, but it's so easy to forget. Mind you, I've never covered it anyway. And that is almost perfect, and almost perfect, good enough for me. And I'm not going to nail this, I'm going to drill and plug it purely because that's a single wall, the other side is tiled. If I go banging against the edge of that, then I'm going to push tiles off the other side. So, you may well have an angle looks square, but it's not square, and the wall may not even be plumb. So I've set this up to show you how I would do it. I've got this bit of white painted hardboard to show the lines up so you can see them. What I've done is you put the piece of timber that's going to go, a bit of skirting that's going to go along the wall, mark that outside line like so, mark the line, the plumb line on the skirting so that you get, we want this mark here, so we've got our back cut there now. Then the piece of timber, now what we need now is the line to work to on the front, so we set a second bevel up to that plumb line. Remember that plumb line there? We're setting that up like that. Now we can transfer that ring to the front because we've got that long mark, and that's the cut we're going to make. Like so. Which should match that one. Like so. We've got our front mark now, and I've marked that up the same as that. The same as the back, so that's not plumb, it matches this. So well. Country. When the light catches it, you can see the dark green tint. There you go, job done. Just wants a rub down when the poly's off. Good job. Now we've got a challenge here. We've got an angle, an internal angle that's not 90 degrees. So let's have a look and see how we're going to do that then. You need a bevel and a compass. And the first thing we're going to do is set the bevel to that angle. Like so, making sure that bevel is running level with the floor. Now we're going to mark that angle on this piece of skirting board. So, and what we're trying to do is to bisect that angle. So set the compass any old width you like. Line, line, same width, line, Now I'm being careful to keep it in exactly the same position, and now that, from that point there to where those two lines crosses, oh, that was a good guess, that's the angle that we're going to cut them at, that are buttoned together. You can do a long scribe, but this is DIY, this will be fine. Now, I'm not wishing to complicate it too much, but to get some accuracy, to minimise your filler that you might need, I'll put my trusty bit of white hardboard down. I'll push that along until it bumps into an edge, and then move that back. So that's where the join's going to be, and then just mark hardboard so, and then come back with another piece in the other direction. Okay, we can now measure the length of our piece of timber from the end of there to where it's stopping at the other end. So from that end of the piece of white hardboard to basically the door stop, the door architrave. Right, so we measured that, and there's 1 metre 702. We've measured along and marked it, 1 metre 702. We've squared it across. Now that's the back edge, and that is the longest edge, so we're going to cut this way. So we've got to cut that way, then we've got our bevel which is set, we've marked it across, then we squared it round. So now what we're going to do is cut to them lines. Right, so we've done that, and you pop them in, have a look and see what it looks like. There's going to be undulations in that, so to test it, to see how it's going to look, put a bit on, and you can have a look and see just how neatly that's going to come there, look. And if it looks like they have it on the same plane, then that's how we're going to go. That's what we're going to go to. Mark the bit of hardboard again, mark it like so, and we're going to measure the length, and that is, this is the shortest edge, is 2, 3, 5. We're going to transfer that onto there. This is the shortest edge, 2, 3, 5. Daisy, square that across, do all the same thing again, and remember this is the shortest edge, so I'm going to cut that back that way, and when we cut that it should fit, except for I've got to cut it around there. There we go then. In theory then, that should fit neatly down in there. What? How about that then? That is just like a bought one. Job done.